Hey everyone, today I thought we'd discuss and look over some stuff from behind the scenes of DbD. Let's get into it. To start off, I want to talk about the variety of escapes that were possibly in the works from very early on. I'm sure many of you have heard the rumor of there being a third way to escape the trial, that no one has found, and is supposedly still possible. However, you probably don't know about many of the things that were considered by the devs as possible ways to implement escape. The official artbook reveals on a whiteboard image multiple different ways survivors could possibly escape the trial. By car, finding a key and getting parts, almost like Friday the 13th system. This is pretty interesting that a car is mentioned too, because the generators we have in game are very reminiscent to the visual style of many car engines. It's possible that once upon a time, repairing the generator was actually repairing a car engine. In the initial stages, it very much seemed like the world of DbD was going to be much more grounded, with escape methods such as a phone line and the police turning up. It's mentioned in the artbook that many of these ideas were changed as the lore essentially shifted, and the game became something else with the entities realm. Furthermore, in the prototype build, so closer to the actual live version of the game, there were ideas in the works for the hatch, and also exit gates with an open and shut switch, so you were able to lock it behind you after opening it. The hatch worked by having a key simply hidden somewhere in the trial. If you found it, you could leave. At least that's the way it looks in the prototype. It may have just been for testing purposes. It probably was. Riley McShane is the voice actor for DbD's Leon. In-game Leon, of course, has some very questionable noises that he makes. Apparently this wasn't Riley's first choice when it came to the sounds, with him originally opting for a more relieved sound, or just less sus. It was only after the team working with him said that he should feel good during the heal animation that it was changed to the one today. You can go watch the full video and story on his TikTok. It's very interesting. Be sure to check it out. There's also lots of other funny videos on there. Lotus Bones is a phrase I never thought I would utter, and I don't really know what it means. The artbook states that the original idea for offerings was named Lotus Bones. The book is specifically very vague about them, and doesn't specify what they were, just that they gave 25% of something. I mean, it would make sense to be blood points, I suppose. This one thoroughly confuses me, and my best guess is that, mainly down to the bone part, these were meant to be what became the killer's category-specific BP offerings. These offerings are different wreaths made of bird bones. That makes the most sense to me, particularly with the mention of the 25% parts. I searched the phrase Lotus Bones and I got literally nothing back. So maybe it's a codename thing, I'm not sure. This is more of a recent thing and actually a bug, which somewhat sparked the idea for this video. Currently throughout the game, Pinhead clones are spawning. You can see them on Larry's, the game, and Midwich. These clones retain this same pose, and look similar to the ones you have whilst teleporting. If the box is interacted with by the survivors, the clones will disappear. Survivors are also the only ones who can see the clone. It's most likely that these models are not usually meant to be visible, and as Pinhead can be seen at his current point at the start of teleportation, and at another as he manifests in, it's very likely that this second model is used in one of the two places during the teleport, so this effect can be pulled off. This would explain the pose, and also why it disappears after a teleport. Why they spawn specifically in these strange areas, I have no clue. Maybe this is where the models usually are, but they just aren't visible. It wouldn't alter the game after all, as you can pass through them as they have no collision. In the DbD artbook there is a page featuring various items from the game, many of which you likely recognize, including the toolbox, the medkit, the flashlight, keys, trapper's traps, and presumably an early version of Huntress's hatchets. One item that seems out of place though is the syringe. This may be for the add-on the anti-hemorrhagic syringe, but no other item here is an add-on, and all of them are in the game. It seems likely therefore that the syringe was once intended to be a separate item entirely. My best theory is that it was probably meant to be a speed boost item, almost like an adrenaline injection. Looking back at the whiteboard page too, we can see a list of possible items that may have come, these being walkie-talkies, melee weapons, something, not sure what it says, medkits, lockpicks, relics, something, and flashbangs, I believe. It's kind of fascinating how far back some of these concepts go, and how they've been shaped into the game today. Another interesting thing in the art book is the various auras that were trialed early on. We can see many different auras visible, and I think they kind of took a combination of all of these. The top right one to me seems the most like the current in-game auras. I do think things like the foggier outline at the top would have been an interesting pick too, and tied in nicely with the entity. The ones with the lines in the middle there I think is probably my least favourite, mainly just because it wouldn't have fit in with the game's tone. Ultimately, I think the final product of auras is very good. Visual heartbeats are something that very recently came to the game, and is something that has been trialed, I guess you could say, for much longer than you might think, all the way back in the prototype tests for the game. Visual heartbeats were being tested. In fact, the original version of tracking was planned to be a heartbeat that revealed your exact location to the killer. It wasn't necessarily a heartbeat, it was visualized as footsteps, but it seemed to achieve a similar type of thing. It notified you when you were making noise, which is a similar accessibility feature to the heartbeat. The mobile version of DbD also had the visual heartbeat before the main game did, likely due to many on mobile playing without sound. Visualized heartbeats were also referenced vaguely in the artbook, where when you stepped or walked, there would be almost a sound or ripple effect that would reveal the amount of noise being made. Kind of like the prototype version, except it seemed much more grounded in the world of the entities realm, with these spooky looking shockwaves. The Stranger Things chapter is an interesting one. There are many things from the reveal stream mentioned that were kind of funny, such as Demo's first implementation to the game being too small, and apparently smaller than Dwight. I'll do a visualization for you on screen. I believe Demo's in-game model is also the exact same that's in the show, with them porting over the model. I could be wrong on that one, but the way it's phrased in the dev behind the scenes video, it sounds like they had the assets for Demo. They directly mention they had access to all the sounds from the show too, which explains why those sounds feel so faithful. On the flip side, Steve and Nancy they received no assets for, and had to craft them by studying the show. I think it shows off how good a job they did though. It also makes sense that have the assets for Demo, as it's a digital thing to begin with that they can probably move over in some way. There's a variety of different things I learnt about whilst watching the behind the scenes videos. Trickster's eye color being yellow is actually not an entity given thing or anything magical, it's just contact lenses, according to Kevin Wu, a consultant for behavior when it came to the All Kill chapter. Contact lenses being common for K-pop stars. This is more speculation, but the model for Plague seems to have been drawn entirely both in her pre-plague form and entirely plagued form. This is her entirely plagued. Pretty cool. It makes me kind of want a special skin type for some characters of their pre-killer days, or almost like a worse state or something. I feel like this kind of thing could have been used for the blighted skin maybe. Also some special skin type for their pre-killer days. I think that could be cool, with us mainly being able to see them in tome cutscenes currently. They also mention in this video the coffin within the main structure and the bottom floor of the temple map. This confused me somewhat because I thought, whose coffin? Is it meant to be Adiris's? According to the lore, her body was never recovered after she left the city. I guess they could have still, quote, buried her down here despite the lack of actually finding her. That does happen fairly frequently, I guess. I don't know, I found it interesting. For the Silent Hill chapter, the music was created by both Akira Yamaoka, the composer of Silent Hill's music, and Michelle April, Dead by Daylight's composer. What I didn't know before was that Akira Yamaoka was actually a fan of Dead by Daylight, and even played the game a lot before the collaboration even happened. Alright, well, that's gonna do it. I do hope you enjoyed this kind of mix of different behind-the-scenes related things. I personally find this stuff really interesting. I hope you did too. Thanks, and goodbye.